On episode 9 of the Crossworks Media podcast, the Supreme Court is tearing through the tyranny of the left by expanding gun rights, religious freedoms, and the New York Supreme Court rules that non-citizens is unconstitutional for them to vote. The left is in shambles as the Supreme Court strikes their tyranny down. And later on, we'll talk about Cassidy Hutchinson getting a lot of pushback for her testimony about Donald Trump on January 6th.
So, so it just seems like right now the conservatives are winning, man, just back-to-back dubs, and the liberals are taking back-to-back L's. The Supreme Court justices right now are really just they're fighting back, and I don't know. You can start off on what you want to talk about first.
Yeah, so we'll go right into the expanding of the gun rights. So what this means is, in states like California and New York City especially, certain cities in states, that if you wanted a concealed carry weapon permit or something, you wanted to carry a gun for self-protection, you had to go and ask permission, and they were a may issue state. So if you were in New York City and you wanted a gun, let's say you lived in a rough part of town and you got people were getting robbed in the subways all the time, and you're like, hey, I need a weapon in order to protect myself, they would be like, nope, not good enough, not a good enough reason to have a weapon. So that happens everywhere in Massachusetts. So what the Supreme Court ruling is that these may issue states or municipalities have to become a shall issue. Like, they can't restrict you not being able to carry a weapon, because you have a right to your life, you have a right to defend yourself, to protect yourself. So this is a huge decision, okay? Like, this is going to affect a lot of states, and it's awesome because gun rights have been winning for the past 20 years. Ever since George Bush took over, overturned the assault weapons ban that Clinton put in. Since then, it's been a win after win after win, except for the recent red flag law, law thing they pushed. But there's a possibility that the Supreme Court could say that's unconstitutional.
Hopefully. What I really wish would have happened is that they would have just completely just came out and did constitutional carry.
Everywhere?
Everywhere. I really wish that they would have done that. But I'm pretty sure I heard something Kavanaugh said in his opinion was kind of said that they're not going to do it or something. But that's a crazy win because was it New York who has been doing that for how many years?
Forever.
Was it? It wasn't forever. I think it was like 40, 50 years or something like that.
What, the New York May issue?
Yeah. Let's
look this up right here.
Yeah, but that's a pretty crazy thing to happen. I never would have thought that. But yeah.
I don't know. I can't find it right off the top of my head, but essentially, it's been a long time, and I think it was at least since the 70s.
Yeah.
60s or 70s. So that's 50 years almost?
Yeah.
So what we have is another freaking win that the left is just infuriated over. Infuriated. And they're pushing the guns have more rights than women, or guns have more rights than gay people, all this crap. And a gun can't have rights, but the Constitution is very clear that the
shall
right,
not be infringed.
Yeah, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yeah, and I just don't understand how a state can say that your reasoning for wanting to have a gun isn't good enough. How can you as a state say that my reasoning for needing a gun isn't good enough? You're not in the person's situation. They want, the rich people are allowed to have guns, but the poor people aren't allowed to have guns.
Listen, if my reason to carry a gun is because I think it's cool, that's a good enough reason for me to carry a gun. Yeah. Sometimes I carry my Zinkin Kimber 1911, open carry it because I think it's cool. I'm trying to show up a statement. You know what I'm saying? I think we need to normalize guns in public. That way people aren't so afraid of them because they can't do anything. Guns don't just shoot people by themselves.
Yeah. But so I mean that's one of the wins that we've gotten. Should we go into the voting one?
Yeah, you do the voting one.
Yeah, so what was it, June 27th, I believe, a New York judge, so this isn't the Supreme Court, this is just a New York judge, rules that a law allowing non-citizens to vote for mayor is unconstitutional. So they struck down a recent law that gave hundreds of thousands of non-citizen residents of New York City the right to vote in municipal elections for mayor and other local office officials. So basically, what it did was, um, it was what, eight? I think it was 600 to 1 million like illegal immigrants. The law
Well,
was,
not necessarily illegal immigrants. It was just non-citizens.
yeah, non-citizens,
So
yeah.
they could have had a green card or whatever, or visiting from another country, but still, like, they were voting for some reason, but they struck that down.
So like that's a pretty big amount of people that they were gonna allow to vote, which I don't know why they would want to push that to allow them to vote so much. I mean, they don't even like actually live there.
Well, it's like we were saying in the last episode, they have to figure out any possible way
To win.
to win, and that's if that's letting anyone vote who they want to vote, they can. So, like, one thing I heard, which is this is my parents. I'm from New Hampshire. I used to live in New Hampshire. Is people would, let's say they were from Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, wherever, they would vote in their home state. Then they would then they would go to New Hampshire and vote too. So they'd be voting in two different things.
So stupid.
So it's just all these stupid little things that they get away from. And I don't know if it's primaries or if it's what they were exactly voting for. Maybe it was just the primaries, but still, it's crazy stuff like that. But I wonder, that's crazy New York would do that.
Yeah, that wasn't even the Supreme Court. That was just a New York judge.
Yeah, there was a
in
New
general.
York Supreme Court going against New York's Constitution. Because obviously, every state has its own constitution. But so then also there was a Washington State coach who, after a football game, he went and prayed in the field, and
They'd go to the 50-yard line by himself.
yes,
He wasn't telling kids, "All right, boys, let's all go pray."
yeah, and he would go and pray, and then so the district
After the game.
yeah, after the game, the district fired him. Okay, so then the ruling.
Well, I think it was first they were like, you have to stop or something like that. He was like, okay, I'll stop. But then after that they still ended up firing him, even after he told him he'd stop.
Just don't apologize. Don't stop. Never stop. Don't just if they tell you to stop praying, pray harder. That's my motto.
But yeah, it was a 6-3 decision on Monday that supported the rights of the high school football coach who knelt. The conservative majority sided with Joseph Kennedy against the Bremerton School District in Seattle, agreeing that the coach's First Amendment rights were violated when the district placed him on leave for violating a policy prohibiting staff from encouraging students to engage in prayer. I don't understand how going and praying by yourself is encouraging students to pray.
And even if it is, why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Okay, separation between church and state is nowhere in the Constitution.
It was a personal letter by Thomas Jefferson.
And it was talking about there's no state-sponsored church.
Well, that's the establishment clause in the First Amendment, which they're not establishing a state religion. That's what they always the liberals love to say. There's the separation of church and state, which is nowhere in the Constitution. And then they're like, what about the establishment clause? They're not establishing a religion.
Exactly.
And then they're like the liberals are going on Twitter and stuff like that. Well, if you support this, and then it's a picture of a dude like kneeling and praying, then you should support this, and it's like a dude like doing a satanic ritual. Like, that's not the same thing.
That's totally backwards, and it's I don't know, man. This is the problem when the country leaves the Christian morals and values that they had, and people were like, we were not a Christian nation. Maybe not, but they definitely had the same morality, and everyone understood that religion was a good thing, and religion is what united this country for a long time, and we don't have it anymore.
Yeah, and with also that case. That it brought an end to a 1971 precedent, Lemon v. Kurtzman, which created a test to gauge church-state separation policies in public schools. So it also brought an end to that.
So does that mean we can, like, the teachers can pray in school or what?
I'll have to look it up real quick if you want to keep talking.
But yeah, let me go back to. Anyways, yeah. So another thing the lefts are saying is if that was a Muslim, you guys would totally not allow it. And it's like, you know what? You stupid leftists, you stupid liberals, I would agree with a Muslim 1,000 times more than I would agree with you guys. And same thing with a Jew or someone who is Jewish or any Abrahamic religion out there.
They don't hate us nearly as much as the left does.
Yeah, the left is... I really don't understand why they support Islam so much. I really
when the
don't.
Islams don't support anything they do.
Exactly.
Anything.
And they hate the Christians so much. And I don't understand. And they say like, oh, if it was a Jewish, first of all, they hate Israel so much, like the left does. So I don't even want to hear them talking about about if it was a Jewish person praying or something. But excuse me. It's just it's sad to see how when the Supreme Court upholds religious freedom and religious liberties, how attacked everything gets. Like that's what shows me that the persecution of the Christians is coming. It's gonna be like the old days, like Old Testament times. Like that's what it's coming down to. You go on libs of TikTok, you see what these people are freaking out about. Some lady just absolutely flipping out over the religious right is the reason why gas prices are, her gas was $5.50 a gallon. And it's just like there's such a total disconnect with these liberals out these liberal leftists. Like they will blame literally anything except for the problem, and the problem is them and the Democratic and Republican establishment government.
Well, so with that Lemon v. Kurtz or whatever case was they said that any aid to church schools violated the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So you could get no state financial support for like church, kind of like religious schools.
Yeah.
But not only when it comes to just that case, another one that came out, the Supreme Court decision for Maine parents to be able to choose whatever school they want, because in Maine, I guess there's not that many people living out there.
Yep.
And so people really didn't like, some people didn't like the schools that they had to go to. So like the Maine government solved that by just giving the people money so they could choose whatever state they wanted to.
Yep.
But it got a little bit difficult when like parents wanted to go to like a Catholic school or something like that, and the government started saying that you can't use the government provided money on a Catholic school, and so they went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that you can use that money to go to a religious school.
Why would it matter? Like, why does it matter? They want you to go to their leftist indoctrination camps, which is a religion in itself. Okay, it's just, I don't know. They hate God. They hate literally anything that has to do with religion, unless it's their religion. And I don't know. I wouldn't even go to college at this point ever in my life. I would never suggest anyone to. Not any like mainstream colleges, anyways. Maybe a good Christian college or Catholic college.
Yeah, John Roberts wrote in that decision about the Maine schools. It says, regardless of how the benefit and restriction are described, the program operates to identify and exclude otherwise eligible schools on the basis of their religious exercise. So it's a pretty big victory for the parental school choice movement. And yeah, Supreme Court is just knocking out those W's right now.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if there's people gonna start calling for violence. I mean, people literally are calling for violence on libs of TikTok. Look it up, man. Libs of TikTok. You'll see a lot of psychotic, crazy eyes. And you know what? It's mostly women. White women who have nothing better to do. This is why we need some hard times in this country. When people start to starve, they'll get their freaking priorities straight. So, but they're gonna. I mean, look what happened with Brett Kavanaugh. They were already trying to. Some guys got stopped and turned himself in because he was going to assassinate him. And man, they hate Clarence Thomas, man. And
they're calling him Uncle Clarence or Uncle Thomas.
Yeah, exactly. And they're so they stand with
the tolerant left.
Exactly, they stand for black people, except when it's Clarence Thomas
or any non-white person that doesn't go along with their garbage.
Yeah, and they call you a Nazi and they call you a racist. But you know what? Today, if you get called a racist or a Nazi,
It's almost funny.
it's like a badge of honor because you know you're just pissing the left off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's so stupid. As long as soon as you go against anything that they have in their like belief system, then you're just immediately an enemy that they have to destroy because you can't go against their beliefs.
There's probably some fireworks.
Yeah, some
out
fireworks
there.
are shooting
it's
off.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
But so I guess there's 4 more big cases that are supposed to be coming up.
Is it just me, or has it just seemed like there's been a lot of cases dropping off like recently, like big ones, or is it just we haven't been paying attention?
I think what it is there's so much unconstitutionality going on in the government right now that it's big because they're trying to push these things which illegally into place, and the Supreme Court is shutting them down. So they have like the immigration problem on the border, and the justices are considering whether the Biden administration can terminate a Trump-era border policy known as the Remain in Mexico. Lower courts have so far blocked Biden from ending the policy. But so it's essentially what it is that instead of detaining them or releasing them into the United States, under the unprecedented program launched in 2019, the Department of Homeland Security can send certain non-Mexican citizens who entered the United States back to Mexico instead of detaining them or releasing them into the United States while their immigration proceedings work out. So the critics call this policy inhumane and say it exposes asylum seekers with credible claims to dangerous and squalid conditions. The case raises questions not only regarding immigration law, but also the president's control over policy and diplomatic relationships with neighboring countries. So there's a pretty big border, the southern border case going on, which also, if you've recently read the news, 50 people, I think it's 51 people, found dead in an abandoned 18-wheeler in San Antonio.
This just came out yesterday?
June 27th June 27th or 28th.
Is it the 28th today?
Yeah, so I think it was not last night. Is it 29th?
It's the 29th today.
So it was Monday night, I think it came out.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and they were locked in there. And I think there's 16 people who are in hospitals, and a couple more could have died. But yeah, I mean that's terrible. And I think the people who, if they catch the people who did this, they need to be freaking shot, like executed, and that's what needs to happen. These people, they get paid to bring them across the border, and then that's it. So they don't care what happens.
They obviously got their money, and then just they screw it. They just dumped. They just abandoned the semi truck for some reason and just got it right out of there. Must have got their money and just left them.
Yeah, and
in that blazing hot freaking trailer.
It's sick, and it's part of Joe Biden's open border policies, man. That it makes it easier. People are just they make this trek. They decide to do this, and these coyotes that run them, it's so much easier for them to commit these atrocities. It's sick. I mean, how does this happen? How do they not know who did this? It's a tractor trailer truck coming across the border. They should be able to trace this. Maybe.
Yeah, a tractor trailer truck would have to take a road.
Right.
It's not just taking it off road. So they went down a road.
Yeah, they must know what's going on. Obviously, this just happened. It'll be clear once it comes out.
If it comes out.
Right.
This is just. Yeah, it's Joe Biden's administration. This is all their fault. They want to make open borders and stuff like that, or half open borders, and I mean, stuff is gonna keep happening like this. There's massive caravans of people coming from Mexico and what's the other place?
Honduras.
Is it Honduras?
I don't know.
Some other
Russia?
No, not Russia, but some other like Latin America nation, and like they're letting them in. They're giving them visas and everything to go right through their country, so they can just come right to America because Biden and them are just inviting them over because they hope that they'll vote Democrats. And there's two ways that you can fix stuff like this from happening. Either one, you just completely dismantle your borders and let anyone come through, and no more borders in the U.S. and if you want to come, then come all, and people won't have to worry about getting smuggled in, and you won't have tragedies like this happen anymore, and your country will cease to exist because you can't have a country without borders. Or two, you can strike down on these, get a stricter border like any sensible country would have.
Yeah.
And stop stuff like this from happening, allowing people to just drive right down the road with a bunch of illegal immigrants and inviting all this stuff to happen. So, I mean, what would you rather have? No borders or stricter borders?
Very strict
I'm
borders.
pretty sure most of America would want stricter borders.
So, yeah, right here. So this is migrants. This is the same story. Migrants found dead inside the truck in Texas were sprinkled with steak seasoning to cover smell amid sweltering temps. Some of the 50 migrants found in the tractor-trailer truck in Texas were reportedly sprinkled with steak seasoning in a possible bid by smugglers to cover up the stench. Shortly after, law enforcement officers revealed the details shortly after. 18 was 6 p.m. Yeah, so Monday night at 6 p.m. this was found. And it's just, yeah. So they're sprinkling people with steak seasoning.
After they were dead?
I think it was before. Because obviously it's going to stink in there. But, like, how the frig is that? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, steak seasoning. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just really
why would it
weird.
be steak seasoning?
I have no idea, dude. But it definitely seems like the left is trying to flood immigrants in to destabilize the country. It seems like they're really trying to push us to the breaking point. Part of me wonders if most of them are bought and paid for by China, and they got hired and they're just weakening China within. It's like that one
weakening China within. You mean weakening America?
Yeah, weakening America within, so China can overtake us on the world stage.
Yeah, either they're dumb or they're
geniuses.
They're genius. They're not genius, but they're smart and they're doing this on purpose.
I think the powers that be are smart, kind of, but I mean the people they use might be dumb as rocks, but that's probably what they want. But it's like that.
I mean, I don't look at AOC and think of a genius.
Right, but
like say that.
They know if they get her into power, she's destabilizing because she's stupid.
Because they're all a part of cultural Marxism.
Yeah, she's dumb.
Which is just the breaking down of society.
It's like that. Who was that? A South Carolina Democratic nominee?
Crystal Matthews.
Yeah, or something. What is she like? She part of the states?
She's I think she's a state representative or something.
Yeah.
And it was a Project Veritas leaked call between her and a dude in prison.
Yeah.
And she's going on there and she's like, "Man, we got to win this state. I'm really gonna start planning on getting some sleeper agents into the South Carolina GOP. So we got to get them to run as Democrat or as Republicans, people we know that we can trust." And they're just sleeper agents, so we can, once they get elected and stuff like that, then we can just start changing stuff within. And you know what? How we're gonna pay for this? We're gonna pay with stuff with drug money. And
yeah.
she literally said on there all these black families on there that aren't paying for my campaign. I don't even recognize them and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, she's gonna pay for this entire plan using dope money.
Yeah, and that's the left, man. That's what they're doing. They can't win normally, so they have to go to these kind of tactics, and they're crumbling, and they're scared. And I hope that the country or the law justice will be held, and that we can prosecute these people and throw them into prison, because that's election fraud right there. That's essentially, I believe it's inciting an insurrection. They're trying to overthrow the government by doing these manipulative tactics here. So,
I wouldn't even be surprised if this stuff hasn't been going on before.
Oh, I'm sure it has. I mean,
that's why you get all these rhinos.
Exactly. This stuff is. I think that's the new January 6th right there.
No, well, the May 29th insurrection of 2020, when the rioters made the sitting president of the United States have to go into a bunker.
Well, I mean,
and they burned Christ Church.
No, that That was mostly peaceful though.
Yeah, mostly peaceful. How like I think it was like over 100 like agents and stuff, and police got injured, and they ripped down barricades and tried to set fire to a church.
No, but that was mostly peaceful though, Clayton. That's what you have to understand.
My bad.
See, January 6th was an insurrection. People died that day in the world.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah,
think you understand.
cops died, man. Just not at that day. Just
Oh, yeah.
later on.
Yeah, no, cops died.
Couple days
on
later.
January 6th. No, cops died on January 6th. I bet. Like, I mean, they might not have been in Washington D.C. or whatever, but a cop probably died.
Yeah.
And that's it's Trump's fault. And
Well, speaking of January 6th, though, there was, this current January 6th hearings that are going on,
oh
and
my word.
they have a bombshell testimony
Hutchinson
by
lady.
Cassidy Hutchinson or whatever. So she's like a former Trump aide or something like that. And they
Trying
were
to get famous.
Yeah, they're really pushing this thing. Bombshell testimony, Trump will never survive this. And so she goes on and she's talking about, what Trump was doing that final day. And I guess Trump and his chief of staff were warned about violence, and he said that he doesn't care. He wants to go there anyways. And he would intended to go to the Capitol and pushed until the very last minute. And they were talking about how he was riding in his limo and told his Secret Service agents to go over to the Capitol. And they're like, no, sir, like, we can't. It's not safe yet. And he's like, I don't care. I'm the effing president. And she says that he lunged for the steering wheel. The Secret Service agent he said, sir, you need to get your hands off the steering wheel, grabbed his hands off the steering wheel, and then with his other free hand went and grabbed the Secret Service's his throat.
Yeah.
And she said that he went for his clavicles.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you imagine Trump sitting in the back seat of a limo, somehow lunging through that little window, trying to grab a steering wheel, and then with his other hand grabbing a Secret Service agent's throat? I really highly doubt that.
No, dude, this is a former Trump aide who's trying to get her 5 minutes of fame, and when she talks about it, you can just tell she's lying or really, really embellishing the story. Like, I'm sure maybe he got mad and said, no, I'm going to the freaking Capitol or whatever, and then she's like, well, I heard that he tried to take control of the limo. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would he do that?
Yeah, and the limos have that little window.
Yeah, exactly.
How would he get through that?
I don't know, dude.
And then that bombshell testimony didn't even last a full day. Like, I think it was the next morning, those Secret Service agents she was talking about came out and said that they will testify under oath that they never got assaulted and Trump never tried to take control of the limousine. It didn't even last a day.
Yeah, because they just have to lie, and they're looking. They're like, if you just tell a lie enough, it'll become truth, and that's all they want to do. Is it's all about misinformation, how to get people to get stressed out and try to make Trump look bad, and they just lie because you know what? If the damage to the reputation is done, the damage to the reputation is done. It doesn't matter how you get there. They look at Trump like he's an evil dictator, and to them, it's justifiable for them to stop him in almost any way possible. So if they need to lie about it, they're going to lie about it.
Well, because they got to get some people to watch their January 6th hearings. I mean, have you heard anyone say that they're watching it?
I haven't watched a single one, and I watch politics.
Nobody's paying attention to this.
Nobody cares about that crap.
That's why they got to get people up there to lie about it. I mean, why would people care about that when their economy is in the dumpster? Nobody cares about January 6th anymore. They need something. They're grasping for straws to win in November, and so they're going to bring up stuff that happens in 2021, January 6th, 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over a year ago, they're just still grasping it. They will never let this thing go. If Trump runs and wins the primary and wins like the Republican candidate for president in 2024, I guarantee they will be talking about January 6th still.
Oh, they're gonna be talking about January 6th for the next 1,000 years.
This will be written in the history books, folks, because they need to paint it as it was just the worst insurrection ever. I mean, this dude was the sitting president of the United States. Think of how much power he had, and the insurrection that he tried to pull off, that he planned meticulously, was to get a bunch of unarmed people to go to the Capitol with a buffalo horned hat guy and drink drinks in the Capitol building.
If he wanted to do an insurrection, he could have pulled off a very violent one if he needed
He's in
to.
control of the military.
Right, exactly. And he could have, I don't know. That's the thing, is like I said, it's to them, they have to lie in order to win. Yes, that's the one thing that you'll start to learn in the left, is that it's a foundation of lies. Okay?
Everything they push. The Covington kids.
Yeah,
What else?
yes.
The Covington kids, the hands up, don't shoot. That was a lie.
Janine Blasey Ford, or whatever the heck her name is, about Kavanaugh raping her.
Yep, that was all a lie. What else?
January 6th.
January 6th.
Steele dossier.
The Steele dossier. Yep, the Russia
Russian
hoax. The
collusion.
Ukraine hoax.
Yep.
The Hunter Biden laptop story.
Dude, it's just constant.
What else? There's got to be something else.
I don't know. But they're lying
Jeffrey
about...
Epstein killed himself.
Right, but they're lying about Roe v. Wade right now. They're saying that abortions don't exist anymore. That's not true.
Yep.
And they're just... I don't know. You want to hear some lies? Some bullcrap? Go on The View.
On CNN.
The View is
The View is horrible.
worst. It is the worst. Excuse me. I think it's 6 women, 5 women.
I think
6. Anyways, that is the epitome of stupidity. That I think in 1,000 years, maybe the world will look back and be like, wow, these people were Neanderthals. They're so dumb. Like, they're dumber than Neanderthals. Like, the View is the stupidest thing ever. They're worse than the Young Turks, and the Young Turks are pretty freaking retarded.
Yeah.
So it's just...
Yeah, there was just like, I think yesterday they were talking about like this Roe v. Wade stuff, and they were like, yeah, Clarence Thomas, you better watch out, because pretty soon they'll be coming for your interracial marriage, and they might start wanting to count you as only 3/5 of a human being. Like, what are you talking about?
Who's they?
They're talking about the Supreme Court.
Is Clarence Thomas.
Exactly.
So Clarence Thomas is going to come after his own marriage?
Yeah, that's what they're always talking about.
Oh.
They're going to come after interracial marriage next. Why would Clarence Thomas want to end his own marriage? They just need some talking points that make no sense if you actually pay attention.
Clarence Thomas is a Christian, okay? Marriage in a Christian worldview is between a man and a woman. So, I don't know. I guess that's all you can... Just next week we'll have more things to talk about, the dumb left, because they constantly give us ideas to talk about because they're that stupid. So, you got anything else to add, Clayton?
No, not really. I mean, just pay attention to politics. Make sure you tell your family to pay attention, especially if you have any left-leaning people. If you really want to get people to vote for Republican in November, just show them some Pride Month stuff, man.
Oh, I mean, it's bad. Libs of TikTok.
Yeah, go look up Libs of TikTok and show it to your left-leaning people and be like, do you support this? I just saw one where there was a dude with a Bugs Bunny mask on, and he was naked, like dancing in front of little kids. There was one where this old guy had like a thong on and was twerking, like a 60-something-year-old guy twerking in front, and there was kids standing right there. There's one where my buddy who's in Seattle right now, at first I saw it on Libs of TikTok where these people are driving bikes naked down the road, like men and women, like a ton of them, like 20 of them, driving them down the road. There's little kids in the audience, and I asked him, he was up in Seattle, my buddy's up there, and I was like, yo, dude, did you see this? He was like, yeah, dude, I went to a basketball game and I walked right through it. He was like, it's crazy, and that's like the normal stuff that happens. But I mean, you're not going to see that on mainstream media. You know, like go ask Google. You know, like Tim Pool was saying that he's going to ask Google if they could run an ad up, Pride ad. They're like, oh yeah, sure, send it over, and then it's just going to be that video of like that that old dude in the thong twerking in front of a girl. And he's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
send it over and be like, here, I want this. This is like, I'm just supporting a pride parade. Like, and like, no, you can't have that. He'd be like, tell me why? Why are you?
Yeah.
Do you don't support pride? And just show that stuff. Like, that's just sickening stuff. Like, you can't be on the side that's pushing that stuff. That's grooming your kids. So I mean, yeah, just make sure you get your family to pay attention. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think that's about it. Pretty good wrapped up.
Yeah, so just like the show, follow the show, overturn that like button, just like you overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yes, please.
Yeah, rate the show five stars, please. Share the show with your friends, and just keep supporting us because we'll keep giving you the content that maybe you like. We'll see you on next episode. Bye.